Hello, welcome to Ephemera Files by Tommy and to part 2 of day 1 of the Bluebell Woods collaboration and design team. This is a creation that Tania at Tatty Treasure and Nanine at Collage Type put together, and these kits are beautiful. I have their Etsy shops linked below. I also have link trees for everybody taking part in this design team. So let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, this is part 2 of day 1. I will also link day 1 below, so you can go back and look at what I made then. I am still at my makeshift table. I do have my camera set up a little differently so it doesn't shake so much. So we are going to first work. You can see I've got stuff set out and organized over here, and I've already pre-prepared a little bit of it. We're going to start with this one. This sheet here is from kit 1, and this is from Nanine. And so the first thing we're going to do, let's see, is this the right one? Is this? Nope. Which one is it I was going to start with? I was going to start with, oh, this one. I did point at that one. Oh, I just grabbed the wrong one. That's all. So I'm going to scoot these. Like I said, I've got everything kind of put together so that I can get this done. So I have some glossy accents, and this is the reason that I'm doing this kit, this particular page first, because what I'm going to do is going to take a little bit of time for it to dry. But it should be dry by the time we get to that point in the video to wrap it up. I'll move those underneath of my table with my leg. And the first thing that I am going to do, I have a piece of black. It's just copy paper, but it's a little bit heavier than a little bit a heavier weight. It's not 20, it's probably maybe a 30 something. I think it's GSM. I'm not sure on that. But I went ahead and I had 2 copies of this. And I took my hole punches and punched out 5 circles. I used a 1.5 inch and 1.25 inch. They're not that much difference in size, but it's just enough that you can tell the difference. Because I want to do something that I saw somebody do where they popped up parts of a card that they made. So the first thing that I need to do is get these put down onto the black paper. And then I'm going to take masking tape, or not masking tape, I'm going to take packing tape. And you have to be kind of careful with packing tape because you end up with a lot of fingerprints if you don't watch out. I am going to tear off a piece of packing tape that will hold all 5 of these. I'm going to lay it down here, and I'm going to take and place each circle. I don't know if I can I scoot up without my tape getting stuck to anything? I know you can't see the tape anyway, but I want to make sure that you can maybe see what I'm doing. And I'm going to put them picture side down, printed side down. And the reason I am doing that is I want to put the glossy accents on here, but because I printed this on an inkjet printer, if I put the glossy accents on there, all the colors are going to run together. Now, you know, it's still pretty, but it's not the look that I want for this particular project. If I wanted to make just an accent piece, I might do something like that just because I know the colors would go well. All right, and so I'm just going to put those down on that black paper. Now you could use any color paper you want. And I'm going to take my bone folder and just make sure that that is really firmly taped down. Just like that. And then I'm going to take my punches and I'm going to make sure that I got the right punch. I have 1 big punch and 4 smalls. And I'm going to go ahead and punch these out. I don't know if I can get closer where you can see. I'm just going to line it up. That black isn't going to show. You could really just use whatever color you wanted. I went with black. And you know what I forgot to do? Oh, it's sticking anyway, thank goodness. I needed to glue those to the paper. Before I turned the tape over, I needed to put glue on the back of the circles. So they may not, I may have to go and do that part. And then this last one is a 1.5 inch circle. So I need to switch punches and punch this out. All right, so I am going to go ahead and get those glued together. I feel kind of silly for forgetting that, but you know, I'm forgetting a lot of things lately. My brain is just a little off. I am gluing these, even though it seems like they're stuck really well. I'm going to glue them because I need to make sure that they're not going to come apart. And even though it may just be a really thin edge of the tape that is holding it on for the most part, I don't think that that's enough to count on. All right, so there's our 5 pieces, all lined up, or not lined up, all glued and secured to the black paper circles that are cut out behind them. Next thing I want to do is put the glossy accents on. Now, these actually are pretty shiny now just because of the packing tape that's on them. And I'm going to give you a little peek at what it will look like. This will line up, and I will be very careful to line it up exactly with all of the surrounding areas and put that on there. It will be a little raised. I'm going to put a little bit of dimension behind it. It's got some because of the tape that's behind it. And I don't know if that shows up on camera. Probably not too well because I haven't inked edges or anything. But it has a really cool effect. You'll just have to wait and see it when it's finished, I guess. That's what it looks like. So I'm going to put these on this paper, and then I'm doing it on this paper so that I can move this paper to a level place so it can dry while I'm doing the rest of the project. So I've got my glossy accents. Oh, I shouldn't have shaken it. Oh well. It'll be all right. And I'm going to start it over here just to test it. This is a scrap piece of paper. And now I'm going to just fill each of these to where it's going to have just a small dome. And you don't want to overdo it because I've discovered that it will curl up. And then when you try to flatten it back out, it may crack. Now, I did have that happen and it still looked good because when I flattened it out and I saw that it cracked, I thought, well, I'll just make the most of this. And when I tried to flatten it out a little bit more, it cracked a little more, and I just went until it was all flattened out. And then after that, I took some inks and rubbed over the top of it, and it ended up just looking like an antique picture. It was a picture of a, let's see, I think it was a picture of a buck, a deer, and it actually looked like ended up looking kind of like a art print that my grandparents had. On their wall, which I thought was pretty cool. I may have some bubbles in there, and I think I'm not going to worry about the bubbles. Because I think that what I'm going to do with this, I think the bubbles will be fine. And they'll be tiny anyway. And this, as it dries, it will set and settle out. And it will be clear. It's kind of a milky color right now. And it looks like you're ruining your project, but you're not. I just had a thought. You could make faux buttons out of this and put those on top of the card like I'm going to do these. that could look pretty cool on, depending on what you were making, you know, depends on the theme of what you're working with. Or maybe you just want to do it for the fun of it. Maybe you don't have a particular project you're doing it for. You're just messing around like I like to do. Okay, so I am going to set this to the side, someplace where it will be level and I won't run into it, which is going to be hard because I hobble. Actually, I don't hobble. I don't put weight on that foot yet, so I kind of lean and stretch. Ow. And sometimes put a little bit of weight on that ankle that I shouldn't, and it hurts. Yikes. Okay, so there's the beginning of project 1. Let's see. Let's go ahead and do what we're going to do with this part. This you can put aside and use later, okay? So I'm going to put it into my little scrap bag that I already have started. I like to keep all of the pieces that I cut off into one bag so that I can go back later when I need bits and pieces to finish things off and get things I know go together. Let's see, I think on this one, I want to do Rustic Wilderness, Distress Ink, and I'm going to go around the edges. Let's see. Oh, sorry about that crash. Maybe I'll get it edited out. I think that's pretty close. Yeah. And so I'm just going to ink the edges of this one, and that's actually all I really need to do right now to get it ready, but then it is ready when the other parts are set. I am going to back this on some lined paper. I could go ahead and do that right now too. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so that one is waiting for the other part of it. So that's going to be project 1. Let's see, no, I did 4 yesterday, so that'll be project 5. Do the others. Now the next one is also going to have to dry, so let's move on to it. Cut the frame out of this. This looks like the cover of a book that they made, and I think I just want to make a frame to go around it. And I'll probably put a piece of acetate over it just to make it look like it's a print, but I need to do some things first. I already cut these strips, and I'm going to glue them onto the back just to give it a little bit of lift. Now these journal cards, you can write on all of them. It's not going to really be a problem with writing on them. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these to the back of the there's my glue to the back of the frame that I've cut out. And this frame is going to have to sit aside and dry for a bit too. That's why we're doing it second. It won't take as long to set as the other. And I forgot to cut off allowing for that, so I'll have to trim that. And that went flying away. I'm trying so hard to stay on in frame, and I don't know how well I'm succeeding. Hopefully you can see everything I'm doing. All right, so that is glued, and I'm gonna have to, oh no, I wasn't gonna worry about that because I actually cut into this panel a little bit, but I'm gonna take care of that using these liquid pearls. So I am going to set this to the side so nothing happens to it. I'm gonna put my pin back into my glue bottle so it doesn't go all over the place. And I'm gonna get my scissors out of the way. All right. So I am going to pick up on some colors that are in here. And I really, really, really like the idea of just a gold frame. So this is Marigold Liquid Pearls. And one of the things, you don't just have to go dot, dot, dot. You can paint with these things. So I am going to actually be using my fingers to paint. So let's see if I can get this to where you can see what I'm doing. There, I think I'm not blocking it now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some puddles, a little puddle right there. And then I'm just gonna take my finger and smear it out. And it works kind of like a gilding. Looks almost like gilding wax when you do it like that. And I think that it dries really fast when you do it like that because it makes it such a thin layer. You can go back on the top of it, and I will, with the gold and with the other colors, to make it look like a carved frame. But right now I'm just trying to get this base color on everything, including that extra chipboard that I've got showing on here. And even though this is gold, it's kind of a rustic looking gold, which is perfect for this kit. Because we're talking about Bluebell woods, we're going into the forest. And it doesn't have to be perfect on the first pass. I'm just trying to get it colored and covered. And a little goes a long way, actually. And you can still kind of see the wood grain that was on the original picture. Kind of. You can kind of see it. Or I may just be thinking that's it, and it's actually because of my fingerprint ridges that are leaving a wood grain in it. Either way, I think it looks good. All right, so there's coat one. So I am going to, see, this is already dry. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go through and just kind of make it look a little bit carved. So I'm just gonna go in and make some, get down there. I'm just gonna make some curls. They do not have to be perfect. And it's a good thing they don't have to be perfect because mine definitely are not. I don't know if that is showing. Let me see if I can pick it up without messing it up. Can you see the little scroll works there? I like that. I may not even use these two, I don't know. So this one also needs to sit aside because those are dimensional and I want to make sure that they get all set. And this will go with that. And so I'm just going to set it to the side so I don't lose it. I have this card here, and I didn't do anything to this background, but I did on the second one because I had 2 copies. I took these Spectrum Noir markers. I don't know if you can see the sparkle on that or not. Let's see if I can get it close enough. Is there any shimmer? It's not showing. Anyway, I'll show you what I did because it's not showing up very much on the camera, but I know it's here. And I just took and I decided which bluebells were in the front, and I just used this on the ones that were in the front, and I just added to the color. I didn't completely paint them. And this is adding yet another layer of color. And I let that dry completely. I came back with, let's see, this one is a Spectrum Noir Moonstone. And then I came back with Cosmos, which is a light purple, very light purple, almost a pink, and went over the very tops of them just because there are some pink bluebells in this kit as well. And mostly what it does is just kind of deepen the color, but like I said, it also has that sparkle in it. And then I also used the Sea Breeze and went over the stems and accented some of the leaves on this. And what I plan to do with this is, look at the back. You can see where all the colors are. I need to straighten that out just a little bit. I'm just going to take some of this old paper, Distress Oxide, and it's a little bright. I think it's this one. It's hard to tell because this sponge is yellow. It started out yellow. The ones that are white sponges are much easier to tell what your starting color is. But I'm just going to go through and hit some of the edges just to knock back that background color. And since I fussy cut, it also helps to get some of the parts that I didn't get cut out as close as I would have liked. And it also will set it apart a little from the background because it will have a different edge color along with being sparkly. And I am just going to glue this right over the top, except for I'm going to offset it just a little bit so that it makes the branch look even fuller, okay? And let's see, I kind of want it to stand up a little bit, so I'm going to use a lot of glue and make that be my layer that makes it stick up. And so when I put it on here, I'm not going to push down, I'm just going to set it. And so I want to have a fairly thick layer, not super thick, but kind of thick, thicker than you would normally use. At least I would hope that it's thicker than you would normally use, because that's a lot of glue to use on a regular basis. And here we go. Just gonna pick it up and gently lay it down. Then I also have these 2 words. These are the parts that are left over from the cut. And so I'm going to cut this out that says plate number. And I have this that says Hyacinthus non-scripta, which is the Latin name for the bluebells. I'll put those little pieces into my bag here in a minute. And I want to pop these up as well, but I'm going to pop them up on pieces of that cardstock. It's actually, this is a box from Taco Shells. I'm going to glue these on here. Normal amount of glue. That was scary. All right, so I've got those on the chipboard from the taco shell box, and I'm going to ink the edges of each of these with the same old paper, and I'm going to match them up with where they are on the card here. So there's that one. Slide that up under the stem there. There we go. Now I'm going to let that dry completely because that was some thick glue under here. And so we'll set that one to the side as well. This one is pretty simple. I'm just going to cut around the edges. I'm going to look at all of the plants that are on the edges and make sure and keep them in the attached, I guess. I'm going to go around all of those. I'm going to cut all of that out. So we'll be right back. Okay, let's see. This should pop out. That's my first time using that tool. This is called a slice paper cutter. I can't read who it's by, but it's just a very little ceramic blade that's in there. And I thought that maybe it might give me just a little more control than my regular craft knife. And it seems to have done the trick. Yes, there we go. So I've cut this out of the center right here. And what I want to do is make a little just folding book. So what I will need to do is, first I'm going to get a piece of paper to be the inside of my folding book. And this should work pretty well. It's green lined, and it will help me to get my pieces lined up the way that I want them. But now I've got to figure out exactly how I'm going to do this. because I need to, yep, that's it. Because I need to ink the edges, but first I want to put a piece of acetate on the back of this. Sorry, I had to think about what my plan was. I had a plan and forgot what it was. So I've got my acetate here. And I only need one layer. All right, so first I'll need to ink. And I am going to, do old paper on the inside edge. And then I'm going to use the rustic wilderness on the outside edge. I'm going to cut out a piece of this acetate. Right now I'm not worried about getting it exactly the size because I want to get it on. Because I just want this to go on it right now. And so I am going to use my red line tape and just going to put a strip on the back, along each of the sides, and then along some of the inside. All right, so I am going to lay my acetate down. I'm going to take off all of my, that's a latch hook, that doesn't help. There it is. Have to find my pokey tool because it works so well with this tape. Right, I'm leaving on the outside tape just until I get this put down on there. So I want it to be straight. Off. Around this. Because the outside layers, the outside lines of tape are not for holding on the cellophane. Whatever this is called. I already lost the word. It's not cellophane. What is it? Acetate. There we go, acetate. All right, so I have my paper here, and I actually think that I can get 2 pages out of that. A couple of them will be short, but that's okay. That still works. Oh, I can't think of the words. I can't think of the words. Okay, let's try this again. All right, so what I'm going to do, the reason I have these on here is because I'm going to fasten it to this paper, but this paper is also going to have a hole in it because of what I want to do with this part. You may be catching on to what I want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and take this one off so I can get my things all lined up correctly. And I want it to be right on the edge. Well, maybe just a little bit off the edge because I'm going to take some washi tape, I think, along the edge there. And now I can take, I'm going to go ahead and use my other, I'm not so sure about that green cutter, but I do know that I like this one. This one's a We Are Memory Keepers, which is now We Are Makers, which may be confusing to some of you, but they've just changed the name because they're no longer just scrapbook supplies, or only scrapbook supplies, I should say, not just. All right. So there's that. And now what I want to do is I'm going to make sure and get this one inked. I don't want to forget that. And I'm going to use the old paper on it. Whoops, I wasn't even on the camera, I don't think, because I wasn't even over the table, so I'm pretty sure I wasn't on the camera. What I want to do is line this up. And if I had any of my mint tape, I would definitely use it in this instance. Maybe I could use a bit of washi tape. Don't need much, I just need it to be in place. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue. And that is lined up just right. So now I can take off the rest of this tape here. For the back side, I'm going to take my other paper. I'm going to ink the outside of it. I'm going to take this piece that I cut out. Even it up. I'm going to make a hinge, so I'm just going to fold it in half, and on here, and then I'll glue this end on that side. Right now I need to, let's see, I was going to add this in there, but I don't think it's going to work. Because if I put it in there, it'll block that image. If I put it there, it won't really work. A little thin notebook. I kind of fiddled my way through that one. So I am going to trim the edges here, and so I want to make sure everything is all connected, because right now this is just held on by a flap and it's not aligned very well. Of course not. Okay, so we're going to take some of this washi tape. Okay. Very carefully. Get enough washi off of here. Okay. I'm just going to go to the edge. All right, that one didn't turn out exactly like I thought it would. So I may go back and mess with it again and see if I can figure out where my thought process went wrong. But I'm gonna call that one done, and you get the general idea. So that's semi-done. And what it is, it's this is the cover of this little mini booklet, and then you open it up and oops, had it taped together there, and it's taped together up here. Oh my goodness. Okay, this one turned out to be kind of a mess. But you might as well see all the mistakes too, because you might learn from them and you might be able to tell me where I went wrong. So yeah, this one may get reprinted and figured something else out with it. All right, let's get this trash off of here and see what else we can get put together. Let's jump back to this one, which is done except for being backed. I do think I want to ink around the edges of the entire card, but I'm gonna wait and do that after it's backed. So there is one. I wish you could see the shimmer on that, and you can just barely see some depth to it, but I wanted to still be able to write on it. Can you see how it looks? You got a little bit of shadow there, but I still wanted to be able to write on the card. And so there is one project. This one is the glossy accents. We're still waiting on that one to dry. This one, I think the frame is probably dry, so I'm going to grab it real quick. Maybe not real quick. Okay, so the frame is dry on that one. And again, like I said, I want to be able to write on all of these cards, which I can right now. And so I am just going to apply this frame to that note card. I was going to put acetate on it, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm just going to leave it like that, because like this, it looks a little bit more like a painting. I may go in with some of my Spectrum Noir markers and maybe add little touches just to give it some more depth. But I think that one is really nice. So I am just going to get my red tape. I I like that a lot. Okay, so this one needs backed. This one is awaiting its dots. This one is finished except for it needs backed. And I don't know what to think of that one. I'll have to think of that one a little bit more. So there are those four from the first page of Nanine's kit. This one right here. And thankfully I have another copy of that one, so I can figure out something else if this just completely goes awry. I do want to show you this. And I had already cut out these 2 pages. And then my daughter printed these out for me because I had forgotten to do the flip through. So I have these tags or journaling cards or whatever to make things with. But I'm going to set them aside because this particular creation that I made with another kit requires the entire size of this. So I am going to cut out around the long edges on both of these papers. All right, and so I'm using this as my guide, and it's going to use 3 pieces or 2 pieces of the 3-paneled papers. So here's one, and then here is the other. So you will need 2 of the 3-panel card or paper pages. Actually, you could do this with any page as long as you were able to fold it into 3s. So the first thing I'm going to do, this one is printed a little bit heavier, so it's going to be my outside paper. And so I'm going to go ahead and fold it up along the lines here. And I am going to just fold this one over, even if it doesn't quite meet the line, because I want it to close. And I don't know if, let's see, yeah, this will be the cover. So this one can go almost all the way in. And you may have to trim some off, but that's okay. See, that actually folds pretty well, but once I get that in there, it may not. So I'll have to make adjustments. So we've got that one folded. And then the one on the inside, we need to fold this way and then that way. So I'm going to fold the outside one first. And then I'm going to fold the inside one, trying to get on that line. When you make an inside fold, sometimes it's really hard to see if you're on that line. And I don't have my scoreboard with me, so I can't use it that way. And again, if you're making your own, if you're doing it from scrapbook paper or something, you don't have to be on the line so much. You just need to be able to fold it in thirds again. There we go. All right, so the next thing that we need to do is make sure that we're right side up. And this is going to go together like that. This center panel here is going to create a long, tall pocket, just like this, okay? So I am going to get my punch board, not my punch board, well, my envelope punch board. And I have to punch a hole, a little bitty divot in the middle of the hedgehog, poor thing. This is 3 inches, so 1.5 inches will be about the center. Oh, poor guy. I think he'll be okay. And I want one in this side. And I'm actually going to go through both layers on this one. All right, so Mr. Hedgehog with his poor hole in his back. He'll be okay, he'll be okay. We're going to glue along these 3 edges. Make sure you're right side up on all of your papers. And go ahead and get him in the center. And I do that to make sure that he's in the middle, because then I know it'll close and it'll close. All right. Now we're going to do the same thing on this one. We're going to open it up. Started to glue it down already because I had a little extra glue over there. And we're going to, you can do either one of these, just don't do that one. And I'll go down the middle of this one, just because. I don't have to because it's a fold, but for some reason I feel the need to do that. And this one is going to fold in on itself. See, it makes a flap just like that. Get rid of that extra glue there. This glue eraser I got at Dollar Tree, and it is so handy. It will even, sometimes if you've got glue stuck on your fingers, like the Fabri-Tac likes to get stuck on my fingers, I can do that and it comes off. Really good stuff. All right. And so now we want to go ahead, and I'm going to just crease that all again so it's all nice and flat, because I'm going to come back with my corner rounder and round all of these corners. Let me get this one out of the way. Get my corner rounder out, the glue in the stopper in the glue bottle. And some of these corners may be hard because some of these corners are going to have a lot of layers. If you have a corner chomper, you could use it. I have one, but it's not in here with me. A little extra glue up there too, but that went away pretty easily. Okay, and now here comes the really thick one. And I'm at a bad angle to do this. But I really don't feel like I can do the corners until I have everything put together on this one. There we go. Because I don't know that they will meet up again. All right. So there we go. I don't know whether to say this is project 2 or project 4 or project 6, but there we go. We have a little folder, and you could actually, I don't like it like that. I like to have it all closed up. So when it's all closed up, it's like this, and you could make this a page hugger and just put it on the side of a page and a paper clip. And that's really pretty. Here's a paper. Pretend that's in your journal. That would just go over the edge. Use a prettier paper clip than this, or a bulldog clip or something like that. Okay? Take it off, and you can open it up, and you've got writing space here. I will put something else on the inside of this. And you've got this, you could write on here, you could do a picture. You got more writing space here. You can also write on this or a picture or whatever. And then you flip that over and you've got more space here and more space here. Plus you've got these two long pockets for tags. I thought that was pretty cool. And so that is whatever number project that is done. Let's go on to the next one. Whoops, that was the last one. I forgot that I'm just going to do the other one later and show it to you in a later video because it's going to be a little time consuming. Not hard, just time consuming. So what we made today was this, I don't know, triple flip page hugger, some kind of a page hugger. We made this journal card, which I still need to back, and so it's not inked yet. And this journaling card, which I absolutely love. I love how that turned out. I just need to back it so that it can be written on. And this one that I'm not sure what to think about. I need to do something to cover that up in there. I don't know. This one may be a take it apart and use it for other pieces thing. But you know, it happens, and you might as well be real about it because everybody else is dealing with their stuff too. And the other, let's see, what did I do with it? And this one that we're still waiting to dry, I will post on my Instagram. How about that? And here is the finished other card that I used the glossy accents on. And you can see, at least I hope you can, I think you can, kind of looks like bubbles. I think it looks really cool. I took each of those little circles and I punched out 3 more of the black circles and glued them to the back. And I went over the edges of the circles with some walnut stain distress ink. And then I just glued them to the card, making sure to match up. See how everything matches up? Making sure to match up all of my design in there. And I think it turned out really cute. All right, and that is part 2 of day 1 of Bluebell Woods. This kit is fabulous. It's absolutely gorgeous. I can't wait to see what the other design team members are making with it. So thank you for joining me today. And as always, be kind, especially to yourself when things turn out not the way you planned. Have a great day. Bye.